Good evening, everyone. Don't know if you can hear us or not. Hope you can. We're just waiting for our buddy to show up, and we'll fail at Minesweeper while we do. Oh, wow. Oh. Minesweeper is actually a pretty anxiety building game. It's still fun. There we go. Look at that. We saved everyone. Uncle Goody's just wrapping up. He's going to join us here in a few minutes. We're going to talk about our favorite British comedies, Britcoms as they're known. And have we got some lists? Well, I've got some lists. And I'm sure Uncle Goody does as well, because he's a big list guy. The one thing that's, son of a gun. The one thing that's great about British comedies, I think, is that not being British, they're more, I don't want to say intelligent. Excuse me. Oh dear. They're a different style of humor. And we probably fall into the trap of thinking anything with a British accent is more intelligent than we are, being Canadian or American or whatever we are. It just sounds funnier for some reason. Not exactly sure why, but that's part of what makes British comedies so much fun. Not knowing why they're funny. It's what makes life so funny. Not knowing why we're doing what we're doing. Well, that one might be, or it might be this one. Leap of faith. We diffused the mines again. Humanity is safe. Thank goodness. Son of a gun. Whew. I don't think I can press my luck too long here because, yeah, well, we kind of knew that was going to happen, right? Best laid plans and all. Let's give her one more sweep here if we can. Whoa. And see what happens. Son of a... I definitely haven't saved this more times than I've blown this up. Ooh. Saved again. All right. Looks like we got some people joining the stream, so let's close the Minesweeper and look at me.
Boom.
I'm coming. Hey, there we are. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. No, I guess that's all that counts, really, right?
It's new, Switzy.
Not a whole heck of a lot. Not a heck of a lot. Lost our background.
Oh, man. So, British comedies.
British comedies, yes. I was just playing some Minesweeper there, killing the time, and just briefly touching on why we like British comedies.
We're Canadian.
Well, yeah. So there's the Queen and all that, who's a very funny girl in her own right. But why do we like British comedies? Is it because the British accent makes everything seem that much more intelligent, and when they do something silly, it's that much more funny?
Hang on a second. They say I'm coming in quiet.
What's that? Sorry?
They say I'm coming quiet. Here, hang a second.
Yeah.
Check. 1, 2. Any better?
I can hear you. Can everyone hear me?
Oh, you're super loud.
Oh, okay.
I turned up my volume here. Well, there isn't.
I'm too loud. Sorry.
Well, you sound loud to me.
Oh,
yeah, it's okay. I was a better Galgron. British comedies. Well, we are a British colony.
Yep.
So we share a lot of. Still kind of quiet for Goody. So we share a lot of what do you call it?
Common ancestry and common values and common just common ground and common history.
Yeah, so, likes and tastes basically. Let's see here.
Yep.
All right. I'll crank that as much as I can here. All right. I'll just turn my volume up as loud as I can go. Okay, there we go. It's super loud now.
All right.
Okay.
I can hear, but I turn my personal volume, so I don't have to.
But yeah, so we share a common ancestry with the British. We are British descendants.
Yep.
So we still kind of have that taste and appetite for British media.
Yep. Sorry, here one quick question here. I've got this also going on Instagram, and it's kind of a fun thing. I don't know if it's actually working or not. I see it is streaming. I don't know if anyone on Instagram can actually comment or not. So if anyone on Instagram, looks like Davida and Maria, could say something in there just to see if it works, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so that's why basically
we could be subject to some very harsh criticism on our choices of British comedies here, because Maria, who is watching on Instagram, is an old friend and very British woman who used to work with me at That's Entertainment.
Oh,
you probably wrote her actually.
Yeah, as Galgren points out, I'll say British comedies will also cover the subject and say such that American comedy won't, because it's not studio safe.
Yeah.
Well, what it is like I said, as Americans know, Americans cannot consume British content. British content usually gets sanitized or else Americanized.
Yes. Well, when you look at how many British comedies got converted to American shows.
Yes.
Right? Like you've got dozens of them. Mm-hmm. Probably more than I can list or whatever, really. No. But you had Shameless, one of the more recent ones. The Office, obviously. Till Death Do Us Part became All in the Family.
Yeah, they all changed in a certain way.
Man of the House became Three's Company. There were just a bunch of them that became.
So where do you want to start, buddy? Where do you want to start with our British comedies?
Where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we start back with some of our favorites? We'll just go from there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was saying on my stream.
I was going to say, you were saying you're seeing how comedy has a shelf life, and how after 20 years,
roughly,
ish, something's no longer funny. I disagree. I think that there is a lot of stuff that is still funny that's much older than 20 years, and holds up. There is a lot of stuff that is no longer appropriate after 20 years and all that.
No, but I think about it. Yeah,
there is some stuff that's still funny. Like Monty Python was 60s, right? Yeah, and 60s, 70s, I guess, right? Late
70s,
60s, early 70s, to mid 70s, and it's still funny.
I would disagree. It's not. It's not funny anymore.
No.
It officially died around 95.
No.
John Cleese and Eric Idle have said this repeatedly.
Yep.
Is that Monty Python is no longer funny or relevant. That's why they're broke. So the only reason that Python was funny in the 90s is because we were still consuming the content from our generation. That's what
Yep.
made it funny, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Monty Python to my kids is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's what you grew up with. So
Yeah.
Eric Idle and John Cleese said, yeah, Python is done, as aged out basically. Now, I see Mr. Bean up there.
What about Mr. Bean? Because that was
yeah.
that was 90s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Bean is.
But it also could have been 1930s.
Yeah, Mr. Bean is somewhat timeless. It might be what Galgran says. Mr. Bean could be the exception.
Yep.
But you know what? I find it funny. The kids find it funny. I suppose other people would find it funny too. Still.
Yep.
Because it's timeless.
Yep.
Because his situations are pretty much timeless.
What about one of my favorites? Much older than Mr. Bean, even Blackadder.
I think Blackadder's had a shelf life.
I don't think so. I think it's still funny, but I think it's funny still because it's set in period times.
I'd argue, yeah, to that degree, but I think it had a shelf life. Yeah. Not as much as Python, but yeah.
I think people can still pick it up now and watch it and still laugh their butts off.
I would challenge that. I think it's.
Who wants to come down and watch it? I've got the DVDs.
Yeah, I would challenge that. So, like I said, it has a shelf life. Even Atkinson tries to shy away from it because of its shelf life.
Rowan Atkinson really had a great career there. Like
Rowan Atkinson is
and continues to have a great career and could go and do Mr. Bean now and everyone would love it. Hey, Minuet is here.
Rowan Atkinson did do Mr. Bean at the 20 Olympics, whatever.
Yeah, the London Olympics. Yeah.
Yep. Because Mr. Bean's a cultural icon. But like I said, there's some like Bean I would consider timeless because just of the content.
Well, because it's also a silent film.
You don't. Yeah. No kidding.
Really. The technology is not really used in it. No. So he's not.
I see you got the IT crowd up there too.
IT crowd, yeah. Which is a more recent one.
It's still hanging around. The writer's an absolutely horrible, terrible person. But it's still relevant.
Yeah. But he also did create a whole slew of famous and revered British comedies. Like he did Father Ted and stuff like that too.
Father Ted is So let's cycle back. So we have Father Ted.
Yep.
We've got Benny Hill. We've got the Flying Circus. We've got all that in that early 70s. And Fawlty Towers was 75.
Yep.
That's early British comedy, right?
Yep.
And the funny part about those ones was we saw them a lot over here because they're on PBS. Well, broadcasting
or TVO.
Yep, TVO.
Yeah. I remember it was I think it was Family Ties. I think it was Family Ties where Stephen Keaton, the father in the show, worked at a PBS station, and one of the I got to go away to this conference, Elise. This week it's learning how to fake a British accent for Pledge Week. And we did catch a lot of our British comedies and stuff like that on PBS and TV Ontario and stuff like that, public broadcast.
And you're right, Galgran. It's that time period where they're relevant and funny, right?
Yep.
So in the 80s, what do we have? I'm trying to think here. Well, Blackadder was the 80s.
Yep.
Shoot. What about Red Dwarf? Was that 80s too?
80s, 90s.
80s, 90s, yeah.
Yep.
Red Dwarf.
And continuing.
Yeah, that one.
It's still funny and still getting an audience, but I think it's probably past its shelf life.
There's a horse being beaten somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
It stopped being fun after a certain point. Trying to think what else. Vicar on the Derby. Vicar on the Dibley. I didn't watch that one. That was my in-laws liked watching that one.
Yeah. I remember ones like Are You Being Served? Which
excuse me, classic.
Yep, which is still in there. And again, like Python, um, political at the time, right? Or reliant on the politics of the time, because they would make jokes about whoever was in power, whatever government was in, doing whatever, which was hilarious back then. But we probably wouldn't get them now. But you can still laugh at the generalities of political humor.
Well, there was also the young ones too. That one ran from 82 to 84. Only 2
Yeah,
seasons.
that was 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, with of course Rick Mahal and everybody about these, these four students and in student housing. That was over the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't know if that's even timeless, because some of it was just absolutely insane, like guys getting blown up and stuff.
Wasn't that didn't that spin off to another one, or spawn another one that was very similar, or just like they renamed like the next seasons or something like that?
Kind of. So I watched that one a lot. So they spun off. Not really spun off.
Wasn't it?
Bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it took Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson. They went on to do that next kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that show was like so far out, it's insane.
Yeah.
But funny. Field comic always just was a point to politics. Super Alice no. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would argue that's the best comedy that has no context.
Yeah.
You don't like the worst comedy is pop culture jokes. Like if you watch oh shoot, I want to say stuff like like Austin Powers or Wayne's World. That's in that time period making that joke, that's what the joke is funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you watch Wayne's World and they do their product placement joke, and they talk about the Nuprin pills, little, yellow, different. Who knows or remembers the Nuprin commercials from back in 1993?
Or people doing Ronald Reagan impersonations.
I do, you do, but
right. Or like people doing like Thatcher impersonations in these shows, right?
Yeah,
so that's why. Yeah,
my kids wouldn't know what Nuprin is.
No.
Yeah,
that's what I was meaning for my self-contained comment. Yeah. Still Wayne's World, but I agree. Oh yeah, exactly. Because like I said, our mindset for comedy is set in a certain time frame, and that's what we remember. So like being is timeless and without context, right?
Yep.
Blackadder, I would consider the same thing. It's got historical context, and it works well.
Yep. What about something like Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister? Those are very, very political, very funny.
I'm going to go out and say so I'm going to say this with all due respect. The British are the king of political humor.
Yeah.
And so if there isn't a political humor show going on in a decade, I'd be surprised.
King now because it is king.
Yeah. So like I said, yes, Prime Minister, absolutely. Because it's British 80s, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Can you watch a day? It's probably past its prime.
You can watch it. You're not going to get a lot of the references probably. But the generalities of politics and how absolutely stupid politicians can be is true now as it was then. That's never going to change. Politicians are always going to be wacky and the butt of jokes. Exactly. And so are politics.
Have you watched any modern British comedies?
Well, Office. I did watch some of Spaced, the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost one there.
Spaced is underrated.
I couldn't get into it very much.
It was okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I saw, but it didn't hook me in. Maybe because it was only, I think, 6 episodes or whatever it was, 8 episodes.
I don't mind those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever watch Gavin and Stacey?
I didn't watch that one, no.
I watched a couple episodes. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
But what I did when I talk about modern, I watched Extras with Ricky Gervais. Oh, I laughed my ass off.
Do we call that a British comedy, though? Just because it's got a British guy in it? Because were there 2 versions of it? Was there a version over there and then a version set over here? Or here with American guest stars in Hollywood?
Oh, well, yeah, because he was a British. He was. It was supposed to. Well, it's a British sitcom. I don't know how. Well, he didn't want. Well, he came over here. I think in the 2nd season, trying to. But it was mostly set in Britain. But I think what works about that one is basically it's more real life, right? I do with shows with more open, shorter runs. Yeah, 40. No, exactly. Extras has 12 episodes total, 13 total if you count the Christmas one. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with the British Office. There was only 3 seasons, right? Or 2.5 seasons and a couple of specials.
Let me see here. I gotta look at
British Office. They were very short.
14 total. 6 and 2.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never watched the British Office, tell you the truth.
It was good. It was good.
How does the humor contrast between that and the American Office?
It's a lot drier.
Yes. Okay. Point number one: British humor is drier. Yeah.
It's.
Would you say that British comedies are more cerebral? You have to think more about the laughs to get them, as opposed to relying upon stunts and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's more subtle humor and subtle and dry, and you need to be paying attention to get the jokes, because there will be some that will just fly right over you if you're not paying attention to the way somebody says something even.
Oh, that's a good point. American comedy does lean more on embarrassing humor.
Embarrassment humor and insult humor.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you look at looking at Bean, Fawlty Towers, Office. There are insults, but it's not.
I would say Fawlty Towers was your stereotypical sitcom.
Yes.
It's in a situation, and the main character is the butt of all the jokes, really, and the source of all the jokes. Not that he's trying to be funny, but because everything bad or embarrassing or crazy happens to him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an aside, and I've told you this before or whatever, my father used to teach hospitality management and tourism and hotel management at the college in Peterborough here in Ontario.
Okay.
And he used Fawlty Towers in some of his lessons just to show, just to break up the semester and stuff like that and give the kids a good time, but also to just show these are the disasters that can actually happen in a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. And, and like I said, I look at that compared to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, like Two Broke Girls. I find Fawlty Towers more real comedy-wise than Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
That if Americanized, all about embarrassing it all. So the show it is a lot more about serious. Yes. Mr. Bean's never really embarrassed.
Yeah.
I find the British sitcoms is not about, how do I put it? Being mean or inflicting injury to make like uncomfortable. Upstairs in general,
yeah, because they take the most zany situation and put it into the everyday. Yeah, the most extreme situations or happenstances.
Like if I look at all the shows you got up here, and all except for maybe Circus, right? And all the situations they got themselves in where they were embarrassed, it was never I considered overly painful. Like The Office time was just cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Like the IT Crowd where they go to the gay musical and they can't go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's embarrassing, but you're laughing not at because it's embarrassing, you're laughing because of how absurd it is.
Yeah.
Which I like about British comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find British comedies don't make me kind of cringe or go, oh, this is so hard. I can't, I'm actually laughing with the character and all that. Maybe because it's so absurd.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are these your favorites? What you've got other favorites?
That was just a quick little list there. Like I couldn't put everything into a graphic.
No, because there's been a lot of comedies.
Yeah.
Like you said,
You've got the keeping up appearances with Mrs. Bouquet or Bucket. You've got IT Crowd, which I did really enjoy.
I still enjoy.
Yeah.
Even my kids enjoy it. So there's some carryover there.
Yep.
Some legs.
Blackadder. Are You Being Served? We're all fantastic. The Prime Minister ones. There's a couple other ones that Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson did. The Thin Blue Line.
Thin Blue Line was pretty funny too.
That was good because he was just the typical inept commanding officer in a police station. He also did one. Was it not the 9 o'clock news.
That, oh my gosh.
Not really a sitcom, but that was kind of your news parody show.
It was sketch comedy.
Yeah.
But again, as Gal Grant said, it was so absurd. Like I can vividly see the sketch of the guy training the gorilla. It's Rowan accent in a gorilla costume, talking and having an argument about, I can play my Johnny Mathis records as loud as I want, and he's like, it's just so absurd.
Yeah.
But not cruel, but not cruelly absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
I like that. Benny Hill, and as dumb as it was, very much probably of its time. You hit all the ones I like too.
Benny Hill is definitely one that didn't age well. I was going to kind of use that.
I know it did. Yeah,
to wrap up or whatever. That was going to be my closing one. I thought we just talked about Benny Hill there, because everyone knows Benny Hill. Maybe not everyone watched Benny Hill, but everyone knows Benny Hill. And what do they know most about Benny Hill?
Sax?
This come on.
Absolutely.
Where it came from, half of them, I don't think.
Was British stand-up, okay. Yeah, and again, I prefer British stand-up to American stand-up.
Yeah.
Just because it's it's more absurd and cerebral, thinking like that.
But anyone can do more cerebral comedy. That's not dedicated or determined by your geography. That's I think more.
That's what's consumed though in your geography.
True, but I think.
I love Eddie Izzard.
I think that.
Cheers, Minuet.
Thanks, Minuet. We'll see you later. Have fun. I think that all comedians have the potential to be smart and funny.
If they choose to be, yes.
Not all of them are. Some of them go with the smash mouth loud humor because that's what's around them. But there are definitely smart and intelligent cerebral comedians in the States and Canada and everywhere else too.
Well, name an American cerebral comedian.
Stephen Wright.
He's a one-line punch joke man.
Yeah, and I love it because you have to think about the jokes. It's dry humor, just like the Brits.
Yeah. Here's an interesting fact too. There's not too many British comedies I enjoy after 1990.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff I like is 70s and 80s stuff. I find a lot of stuff after 90.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Don't click with me. Like Gavin and Stacey, I didn't find funny at all. I found it rather stupid.
Were they trying to become Americanized?
I don't think so. It felt more like they were trying to be too real.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it felt like to me to a degree. Like too real with a bit of absurdity. I did enjoy extras. There was Warwick Davis's Life's Too Short, which had a good concept. But you know what? It was that awkward humor, but awkward, uncomfortable humor. Making fun of himself.
Sorry, I was just trying to see if the Instagram people were commenting on my phone and I could see it there, but I don't know if Instagram can actually comment or see or even hear us.
Maybe not. But yeah, if anybody likes stuff, more modern British comedies, let me know. But I have not found one that really appeals to me. But then again, though, there's this age factor. I have a certain type of humor that I enjoy, right? Obviously, you see what's on the screen here. Even when it comes to movies, there's not too many modern comedies I enjoy. But like I said, I go back to the 70s and 80s. I can name off tons of British comedies I think are hilarious.
70s, 80s, up to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Partially because I suppose there were probably delays in what we were fed over here.
Oh yes.
So we would get something 5-6 years later or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
We wouldn't get everything as it aired.
Yeah.
And I assume that there was also, I don't want to say budgetary constraints, but yeah, they're probably budgetary. Well, what the stations over here could afford to buy.
Oh yeah, like what do you think on
And that's why there were so many reruns of so many things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's probably easier for public television to get it than anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I'd argue that I don't think oh no, that's not true because our stations did show some British comedies.
Yep.
It wasn't just TVO, but TVOs were our public broadcast that we consumed it most of the time.
Yep.
But I do remember it popping up on mainstream. Well, a good example, Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
It was on CBC all the time.
Yeah.
But you know why though? Yeah, because it's no language required.
Yeah, and it could broadcast just as easily in English Canada as it could in French Canada or Quebec.
Yep. Anywhere.
It was worldwide, really.
Yeah. Look at some of the older ones too.
I was going to say that I remember YTV up here in Canada running a lot of British shows as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was just cheap or what.
I actually want to say that YTV aired "Are You Being Served," which
I want to say they did too.
Which is kind of crazy because YTV was supposed to be youth television. It was supposed to be kids shows and young adult and teen shows. I'd say that their target audience was supposed to be up to 15, 16. I'd say 15 probably.
I think it started that way, but I think after a while
maybe they were just starved for content and needed to get something in there. Yeah. So let's bring this in because it's available and cheap. And
yeah, that's the problem they're doing. I'm looking at some of the older shows like Dad's Army. I've heard of but never seen.
They did a movie for it there as well, not that long ago, within the last 5 years. I want to say Catherine Zeta-Jones was in the movie.
Probably. I don't remember. I haven't seen that.
And I want to say Bill Nighy.
Oh, maybe.
Whose name I'm probably pronouncing wrong, but that's how I say it.
But that one I remember hearing a lot about, but never actually seeing.
Yep. Little Britain was very popular.
Little Britain, yep.
The humor wasn't for me all the time.
No, it was hit or miss for me. Like I remember a couple of sketches. One goes on for about 4 minutes, and it's about these guys are calling a snooker tournament, and this guy's just trying to get in the booth with all these snacks and beer and all that. And he sits down, and the guy goes, "Merry Christmas." The guy goes, "Oh shit!" And he starts running home. You know, so. But the guy's calling a snooker game for about 4 minutes. The guy's trying to get with all the snacks and all the stuff to sit down.
Yep.
I remember that. Oh shoot!
Did you watch any of the Sacha Baron Cohen stuff? The Ali G show?
Yes, I watched that.
Yeah.
That was again uncomfortable, awkward humor, right?
Yeah.
That translated well to American audiences.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think because it was cruel.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what it is. Shoot, I was going to say too. Dad's Army.
Only Flips and Horses. Two Ronnies.
Oh, I know. There is a really obscure show in the 80s that ripped off of Mr. Bean called Baldy Man. Yeah.
Okay.
I was watching PBS one night, 90s, and basically it was the same thing. The lead character didn't speak and just was a bumbling idiot character kind of thing. But yeah, it was in the 90s, 13 episodes. I remember this vividly because when my grandfather passed away, we were at the house watching TV, and this was on as a marathon, so I watched like all episodes of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of unknown British comedies too. Oh, yes, how can I forget? Philomena Crunk is great for British. How can I forget about that? That is absurdist to the max.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this. What is this?
So Philomena Crunk is the Jen from the IT crowd.
Oh, okay.
And she plays a documentarian who plays it as straight as an arrow and just gets everything wrong and keeps going with it. You know, like, you know, why they just fill in the bearing straight, and she's dead serious, right? And plays it that way. It's funny. It's absurd because the stuff she says is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
And it works so well. Yeah, great point, Galgaran. What do you think about the future of British comedy? Do you think they're going to swing back more political? are going to keep it more general?
Do we say that it depends what happens with the American election?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they just had their election over there, what, within the last 2 months?
yes.
And they booted the Tories out, and now it's Labour Party, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say too? I'm going to say this too. I think political humor is not that funny anymore.
I was going to say, I think you have to kind of wait to see what happens with this new regime before you can make a lot of fun of it and be successful at it. You can make fun of politicians all you want, but you might not be successful because you don't know what their track record is if these guys are very new in power.
Well, I think the problem is people like Trump and Boris there, they were so dumb, stupid, and funny you couldn't out-stupid them.
They were the absurd characters.
Yeah, you
in real life.
You couldn't mock them. That's why you know it was pointless, because anything you try to make a joke out of, they would inadvertently one up you, basically.
Or they already did it.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot another show too that comes up. Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
A lot of people aren't. It's for some reason a very polarizing show. People either love it or absolutely hate it.
No, okay, I get them confused. Thanks, Galgron.
No, there we go.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of Mrs. Brown Boys. I just
now you say Diane Morgan, I think I may have heard of this Philomena Kunk show.
it's funny.
Yeah,
it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Another modern one is Ghosts.
Yes.
I've only seen clips of it.
Remade in North America.
Yeah, not bad.
Yep.
But no, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, I know one I like. The Toast of London.
Is that newer or older?
Very new. It's like 2020. I want to say 24. No, wait, 2020. Let me see here. 2020. Oh, 2013. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's basically Matthew Berry stars as Stephen Toast.
Okay.
An eccentric middle-aged actor with a checkered past. It's absolutely a top peak.
Yeah.
Matthew Berry.
Now, what's funny, Matthew Berry, you get in What We Do in the Shadows now, as well,
and he's funny on there too, as well.
Hilarious there. Yeah.
And he's the first person to admit he doesn't know why he's funny.
Would you call that a British comedy or not?
What We Do in the Shadows?
I thought it was New Zealand for the show or whatever, right? Because it was Taikawati or whatever.
Yeah, but it's filmed in America.
Oh, okay.
But Toast of Town is UK.
Okay.
But they did come to America for the fourth season. That one is funny. Again, absurd, over the top humor. Ooh, Cornetto Trilogy. I think about that one.
Well, they're movies. I would definitely consider them British properties, British led. I would call them British comedies. Yeah.
I would say that basically Hot Fuzz is a definitive British comedy.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's over the top, but it's not basically crude or insulting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, I think it's. I don't consider. I think of this way is Hot Fuzz is a really good film. Shaun of the Dead is a good film. They're both British comedies because of that kind of thing, right? The World's End. That feels Hollywoodish. That feels American. I don't know if it's just me though.
It wasn't that funny when you got through it.
True.
There were funny parts, but it was kind of saddening, and not in the good way.
No. But I found that one felt more American humor-wise.
Yeah, well, is that because of special effects?
I just thought the jokes felt, what do you call it? They're more based upon visual cues.
Yeah.
Insult jokes.
Yeah.
And all that. It wasn't like, the Hot Fuzz, having to jump through the air, shooting one gun. They're shooting two guns.
Yeah.
Or when he gets in the police car and backs into the fountain, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where I found a lot of the humor in The World's End was just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a modern. I'll give that. So definitely a very good modern example.
Yeah.
No question about that.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, basically, they're moving away from comedies because everything has a popularity thing.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of well, okay, scratch that nonsense. What about Good Omens? That's a tough one.
Yeah. Who airs it?
Well, you know what?
It's Amazon Prime, is it not?
I think it may not be British.
Yeah.
It takes place in Britain.
Yeah,
but it's not British.
Written by Neil Gaiman
and Terry
Pratchett. Tough to say.
That one has a lot more Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely. And does it stop being considered a British comedy when you throw money at it and you have a big budget and you have big stars and you can afford special effects and things like that?
I'd argue no, because
the British comedies that we like because they were made on a shoestring budget and they did phenomenal work with what they had and they didn't need all this other stuff.
No.
When you look at Mr. Bean, silent humor, they half the time probably didn't need a boom mic in the show. They had very limited sets. They didn't need to go places. IT Crowd, they didn't go very many places. It was very small settings. Are You Being Served basically took place in 3 rooms. Things like that. Once you expand the scope of it, does it now seem like, well, we've got all this money, we have to show it off, and that waters down the humor of the project?
No. The writing is there 100%.
Yep.
Turns a joke about that. I think British comedies generally have a smaller budget than is required for the comedy.
Yeah.
No, because I look at it like when you boil it all down, it comes down to basically Michael Sheen and David Tennant being a buddy comedy, and it is.
Yeah. Yep.
It is top notch.
Yep.
It's written by British people, takes place in Britain.
Yep.
And none of the stuff is Americanized in the first season.
Yep.
Second season, I'd argue that it is Americanized a bit.
Yep.
There's John Hamm. But the first season, I consider basically a very British comedy. Just the way that they deliver the lines and say that kind of stuff. But not the second season. The second, I think, is more Americanized.
Yeah.
But you know what's kind of funny? You talk about the special effects and all that.
Yep.
Comedies shouldn't need a big budget.
No, it shouldn't.
No.
And that's why I was kind of getting towards, like, do they feel more Americanized when they have that budget, when they have that push? Because now maybe we don't need to have the local British comedian or whatever. We can have a big name British comedian or British actor.
I think it all comes down to the writing, because the jokes in the first season feel British. The second season feels very American. Yeah, it's that injury and insults.
I wasn't talking about Good Omens in particular there. I was just talking in general.
No, I was going to say basically it comes down to the writing. I think the writing and
the
delivery.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
And the money is just set dressing. Like, well, it is set dressing.
Yeah.
I do miss the simple stuff though, because look at like I said, Red Dwarf. You know, super simple, cheap, but it was the writing and the performances that. Well, it was the nature of the '80s, right? The performances made or broke the show. Yeah. Extras had a bit more money.
How long did Red Dwarf go on for? At least 10 seasons.
It's still going on, Switz.
It's still going on, but in its initial run, I could say like at least 10 consecutive seasons.
No,
or 8 or 9.
It had 3 consecutive seasons. Took a break.
Okay.
Had seasons 4 to 6. Took a 4-year break.
Okay.
Season 7 break. Season 8 break.
Yeah.
8th and gap. And I would argue, too, that season 7 is the last funny season. Beyond that, Beyond that, it lost something. And I think that reason is because it was written by two guys
Yep.
up until the seventh season, where they kind of had a falling out. And I think
Uh,
that's when it kind of stopped being
Red Dwarf.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you really feel that when you lose that voice, you really feel that. And I found that it's lost his voice and it's just trying to go through it.
Yeah.
Is it still a British comedy? I'd argue it is still a British comedy,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not a very good one. You know what's really funny about Red Dwarf? At its height, they were doing like crossovers.
I was going to say Crichton, but
Well, they did there was a show called Can't Cook, Won't Cook, and they had the characters on there in character cooking chicken vindaloo. It's called Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg. And I laughed because they were intentionally sabotaging stuff and just jerking around. And they had the Christine Bachansky because I don't want to eat that. But stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, if a show has not got the right writing or the actors, all the money in the world isn't going to help.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking something here. I just managed to join into Instagram there from another account. I just want to see if the comments don't pop up over here on StreamYard.
Yeah, it says some comments.
Yeah, they do pop up over on Instagram. So
Yeah, it says
see if
some.
you see them there.
At the top, it won't either. It says right there.
Yeah.
You have to have like another window open. There we go. A good person. Everybody talks about all the good American versus British comedies. What about the bad ones? Oh, I can think of a lot of bad American comedies. And even the worst British comedies, I still enjoy. Like Warwick Davis's "Life's Too Short" was not very funny.
Yeah.
But it still was a lot better than it was an absolute trash. Gavin and Stacey, there's still funny parts like, okay, I can get into this kind of thing.
What was the Stephen Merchant one where he was the traveling tall guy basically?
Oh my god, yeah. And it was just basically saying that awkward guy traveling. That was it.
It was basically the opposite of Warwick Davis's in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was basically sending Carl out to go places. That was it. Because
Yeah.
Carl was naturally funny because he was so serious about stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go watch Ricky Gervais interviewing Carl Warwick Davis, and Carl's asking him what your day's like, and he goes, "What do you think I've got? Like a little stove and a little thing, all that?" And Carl goes, "What would affect the home sale the resale price of your home if it was like that, right?" And he's dead serious, and Davis looking like he's crazy, right? And Andreas asked him if you and Warwick Davis were attached back to back, what would you do? So we go to the movies, but I'd sit facing the wall. Why? Because I've already seen the film. Carl says he is serious. So I'm gonna type in the search bar and say worst British TV comedies.
All right.
Because I'm trying to really think. There's been a few. Like Baldy Man was up there.
I was going to say the worst stuff probably wouldn't get sent over to us here because we're getting it imported by whoever, by TV Ontario, PBS, BBC Canada, BBC America, whatever you're able to watch it on, even Amazon Prime or something like that. They're not going to pick up the worst ones, so we're not going to really have seen too many of those, or they shouldn't be picking up the worst ones.
No. And it's hard too because I Google them, right, and nothing's really coming up as like, oh, this is obviously the worst thing ever. Yeah. Let me see, like somebody I heard of, Babes in the Woods. It's like a sex comedy. Mr. Brown Boys made the list as a bad comedy.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously going to have some duds.
The Brighton Bells, Hardworks House, Bottle Boys. Like nothing I can say that is like, okay, I've heard of that. Sam's Game, The Royal Bodyguard. Yeah, that was dumb. Oh my God, I forgot about that one. I didn't realize that was. Is that? No, oh my God. I got to double check this one before I announce it.
All right.
I thought this was American. It lasted one show. Let me see here. Oh my God, it was the title. Hail, honey, I'm home.
I can imagine what this is.
It centers on, and I quote,
because how do they spell
Heil? It centers on Adolf Hitler and Eve von Braun, who live next door to a Jewish couple. The show spoofs elements of the mid-20th century sitcoms, and is driven by Hitler's inability to get along with his neighbors. It's called Controversy when broadcast. It's called the worst house comedy in the world. Lasted one show and was canceled.
Talk about pushing an envelope or trying to stretch an elastic band as far as it can go.
Yeah. So, and there's clips online of that. But a lot of the shows here I don't recognize. But I can think of a lot of bad American ones.
That's wow.
Yeah. But Mrs. Brown Boys, even that is, is kind of bad, but not like. Because, like you said, if you look at Americans, Two Broke Girls by the list, Homeboys from Outer Space, Joey,
yeah,
Caveman. Remember the guy called Caveman?
Yes.
They had a TV show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
My Mother the Car, back from the '60s. A guy's mother died, becomes a Ford car. That was horrible.
Yeah.
So. But I can think of a lot of bad American ones.
Yeah.
I think another thing too is I think Americans were producing more content versus the British.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's half of it is.
Well, more content or even just longer content because again we're getting into like the 26th season of or 26 episode seasons compared to the 6 to 10 or whatever it is, right? Sometimes four episodes, right?
Yeah, because the British weren't producing these long seasons. But like I said, oh my God, yeah. So
that's because in Britain the days are shorter because of the rotation of the Earth.
Oh man, but Joey, yeah. But yeah, Hail, Honey, I'm Home. I thought, who got greenlit this?
Am I a terrible person that I kind of want to find clips of this just to see it?
You want to see? I've seen clips of it. It's insane. Okay, I'll pitch you another question. When I talk about British comedies. Canadian comedies, are they similar to British comedies in humor and format? Like King Kensington, Hanging In.
When you think of things like Corner Gas, to be a little more recent, Robson Arms.
Corner Gas is a good one.
Kids in the Hall is basically just your basic sketch comedy show. So I don't think you can really compare that one because it can be just as madcap and zany in a 3-minute sketch as anything can be. Yeah. And anyone can strike gold with sketch comedy from time to time.
Or Corner Gas.
You take like a Corner Gas.
Corner Gas to me comes across as hurtful comedy. Hurtful at times. Like there is absurdity.
Yeah.
A lot of it is insult comedy, which but it's still funny. Like
insult and embarrassment comedy. Yep. It would almost be a cross.
Okay.
Yeah. With Corner Gas, you had so many sets of characters. Yes. You had 4 sets of characters really interacting. You had Brent and Lacey. You had Wanda and Hank. You had Oscar and Emma. You had Karen and Davis. And sure, they mixed around and did all their stuff together and the storyline set up. But you would have cuts. And you would have the little bit of the Brent Lacey storyline. Then you would switch to the Oscar storyline. Yeah. And you would switch tones almost when you switched characters. The Oscar stuff was the insulting, rough comedy sometimes.
That's probably why it was so
successful. At other times, it was the dumb, absurd comedy, too.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, Australia comedy in with the British, or would that be its own category? Ooh.
I would say it's very similar.
5 Eyes? No, let me see. Australian TV comedy. It's a good question, actually.
I'm not familiar with any, really, I don't think.
I'm going to look at the list real quick here. And I don't think I've watched any of them, actually.
Yeah.
Which I'm embarrassed to say I think I've watched any of them.
Yeah.
But judging what I'm seeing here, basically, I think it'd be close to the British.
The
Danger
British.
Five. Danger Five is it's a good one. That one I do know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So two recent Canadian comedies.
Yep.
Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny.
Yep.
Trailer Park Boys I find funny, but again, it's that cruel humor.
Yep.
And Letterkenny is also that cruel humor, I guess. So maybe our tastes are changing. But you know what? Those two shows are also very popular in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think I think they've tried to stick nearer to the American model.
Yeah, I think so too.
Also, you've got Trailer Park Boys kind of being pseudo reality TV.
It's a mockumentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like The
So,
Office. The Office is a mockumentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that works good.
Yeah. Yeah. we touched on Benny Hill earlier there for a few minutes.
We did.
Benny Hill was very funny back in the 80s. When did Benny Hill run? What
I
was
want to say Benny Hill ran
the
from
actual run
70.
time? I want to say like 72
I want
to
to say 76 to
85 or something.
Benny Hill ran.
Because he was in The Italian Job as well
Yeah.
with Michael Caine.
Holy crap. 55 to 68.
Holy, really?
Yeah, and then it got rebroadcast 69 to 89, basically.
Rebroadcast? Is it reruns or remade and continued?
I think we made it continue from looks of it.
Okay, so it had a gap. So it was original content being put out in the 80s and stuff.
Well, I'd argue that it looks like we went from 55 to 68. He just kept going. He took a break from 68 to 69 and just kept going.
Oh, okay, so it's a year off. Big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Was part of the appeal of Benny Hill the fact that this is going to sound weird. We were kids when we watched this. What was part of the appeal of that show, the fact that it was on late at night and it was racy,
Yeah.
we thought we might see some nudity because this was coming from another country.
It was double entendres, that sexual innuendo that made it funny. That's what he's known for, basically. And of course,
and you expected you might see a nipple.
sex sells.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what really sells.
For $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, you guys, give me for a second, Greg. I gotta run upstairs just for a minute here.
Yeah. Oh, I would have put the theme song on if you were actually going to run. Excuse me. Who else is out there? What British comedies do you guys like? What have you guys seen? What would you recommend? Sorry, Instagram people, if you're out there, you can't comment that I can see. Well, I can see, but it doesn't pop up on the stream, unfortunately. If you do, let us know. You can always join us at some of the other links. You can jump onto the YouTube channel, or you can catch us here on Twitch as well to actually make your comments live. Hey, that's all right. This is what we're here for, is to talk it over with people and see what the best way to learn something is to get recommendations. And I love getting recommendations. I was actually thinking about people that I have interacted with in the past and who I've recommended movies to. For 30 odd years, I worked in a video store, which is the scene right behind me here. Hang on one quick sec. There you go. The scene right behind me there is the video store I used to work in and run. There was always something special about recommending a movie to somebody because you really wanted to see, you wanted to share your opinion and you wanted to see what their reaction was to it when they returned it the next day, just to see, what did you think of what I recommended? What did you like what I liked as well? And there's this nervous anticipation, this energy you get when you recommend a movie or a show or something to anybody, because we all want to talk about things we like, and that's why we do this stuff. But there's always something fun about seeing somebody else's reaction to something that you enjoy. So yeah, we would love to hear any more recommendations that you guys have.
Absolutely.
Because I want to watch them. I want to know what you guys like about these things, what you guys recommend. Because
Danger 5 is funny.
Yeah,
Danger 5. I have seen Danger 5. It is funny. So final thoughts, Wits. What's the future of comedy, you think, in Britain?
Black, dark.
Well, I've been looking. Like I'm a big consumer of foreign media, right? And I noticed that a lot of the British media basically is crime dramas and terrorist stuff, basically.
Yep. I was going to say for all the wonderful shows that we've seen in Britain, they really don't do much for tourism because every quaint little seaside village is full of murderers.
Yeah.
They're worse than Cabot Cove.
It
Or
is.
maybe just as bad as Cabot Cove. Murder, She Wrote reference.
She wrote. So many people died in that.
Nobody you really should go visit Aunt Jess because you're going to get accused of murder.
Yeah, I'm just wondering basically if the appetite for comedies is fading for a while, just because
the world got really serious and dark for a while with a pandemic and stuff.
Well, the other thing too is
or with politics and everything else.
My siblings like to fall asleep listening to true crime dramas.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think basically there's a generation that likes to consume stuff like that. Like I said, we were comedies and sitcoms. We were raised in that, right?
Well, if you think back to the shows we watched growing up, tell me what you did every Thursday night from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock.
Well, watch like Night Court and Cheers comedies.
Cosby Show, Family Ties, Night Court, or Cheers, and then Night Court. And when Night Court was off, then it became Wings.
Gal made a point about Marvel. I did a video on my YouTube about superhero fatigue. Marvel's flooded the market too, right? So I wonder too, Switch. Do you think no? I was going to say maybe near the end of the 90s we had too much comedy on TV. Like you said, you ring it out there.
Yeah,
I think just tastes are changing. I think now people are looking for comedies, even when we're watching stuff on Netflix. Shree's watching like SWAT. What do you call it? Designated Survivor.
One of my favorite shows to watch recently was Reacher.
I love Reacher. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some funny parts of that.
Yeah, I'm not hunting for comedies, right?
Yeah.
So I think the eras of comedies are over for now.
Yeah,
because this is of taste. But you know what? My kids are still watching The American Office. Friends is still popular. I think that stuff, the older stuff, that's comfort food. People are still consuming. But I would not expect us to see any new comedies coming out of Britain or even Canada or America for a while.
Yeah.
With the outlier.
Do we need more comedy? Do we need the return of comedy? Do people know how to write a sitcom anymore?
I'd argue they don't.
Did the sitcom die when John Ritter died?
I'd say no. I say the sitcom died when the writers went on strike and we got reality TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when the sitcom died.
Yeah.
Because then
we don't need you funny guys writing stuff anymore.
We don't need to pay you guys that. We've got a whole cheaper format to do.
Yeah.
And people love reality TV. Oh my God, it's insane, right?
I don't.
I watch a bit of it, but I know, yeah. So I think the era of comedies and the taste are done for now.
Yeah.
But I think once in a while we're gonna get real. When we do get a comedy in the future, be it from wherever kind of thing, it's gonna make a big splash because if it's good, because of the lack of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the last big comedy that. Oh, isn't that terrible? I can't think of anything. Well, Office, technically, I guess. The last big comedy I watched, like, oh gosh, that's
The last big comedy.
What about Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
But would you call that event television? If you think of the must-see TV, you have to watch it. If you don't watch it, you're not going to be able to have the water cooler conversations. And I would say like the last stuff like that would be like your Walking Dead and your the other one.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Game of
Crap.
Thrones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those two basically are the ones that you want to watch to talk about.
Yeah.
You could watch like Brooklyn
Yeah.
Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, and Community at your leisure.
Yeah.
And
Whereas back in our day, it was Seinfeld was the water cooler conversation.
Oh yeah, did you watch Seinfeld last night? Did you
Yep.
watch?
Yep.
Exactly. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think it'll be a while before we see another comedy. But when we see a good comedy, where everybody's gonna hear about it.
It's funny that we, no pun intended, that we still have comedians doing late night TV, even though you watch things like Colbert, which has turned very political. They've all turned really political, but they still have comedians hosting these things. When it seems like, again, comedy is drying up a little bit. Yeah.
Well, you make a good point about Colbert too. Is I think that Colbert's whole stick is, fake right wing dumb, a dumb guy basically.
Well, that was the Colbert Report. Now is late night or late show.
So he's more of a talk show basically. That's right too.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm trying to think actually. Yeah, I can think more than that though. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's all the thoughts I really got. But yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to laugh more, and we need to.
I'll
each other. And,
yeah. I'll watch more. I'll probably watch more comedies when they pop up. But like I said, even I'm guilty of not. I haven't watched much of Philomena Crunk.
They don't pop up much. It seems like that Philomena one that I'd never heard of it.
Oh, I've seen it, and I've seen a couple episodes, but I've never. Even I'm guilty of going out looking for, horror and something else other than comedy. Like you said, we're big consumers of sitcoms in the '80s.
Yeah. R2.
That's my email basically.
Yep. Crap! I just lost the thought again.
I was talking about basically. I haven't watched Philomena. I've only watched a bit of Philomena Crunk, but I haven't gone out of the way to actually to watch these kind of things, So, hope that helps you. Remember?
No, I lost it.
Okay. All right.
Could the animated? There aren't really that many animated British comedies, are there? That I know of. That seems like an untapped market there when you consider 30-odd years of The Simpsons and the umpteen years of Family Guy and going on 7-8 years of Rick and Morty and things like that. How I think it was 11 or 12 years of King of the Hill, Futurama, never seeming to die. The American or North American markets really tapped into the comedies. Why were there never any British comedies or British animated ones? I know they are expensive, as Gagarian says there, but there had to be some budget for some animation. They had budget for kids shows, and they had cartoons, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But I'm a little surprised now thinking about it that I can't think of any British animated comedies.
Well, I think what it was basically oh shoot.
I guess you get them from the States.
There was no animation shops in Britain.
Yeah.
The cost to bring them in was expensive.
Yep.
So I was like, I wouldn't. That's probably why. Like, there's just no market for it.
Which is too bad. That would have been an interesting thing.
Well, yeah. So like Canada had what do you call it there? An animation. It still has an animation market, but yeah, animation is expensive, and that's why I think what it is. But yeah, I can't get any British stuff that's animated.
Yeah.
Even the Mr. Bean show was not animated. It was animated, but it wasn't animated in Britain. It was animated, I think, in Canada, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to Google that real quick before we go here.
Yeah.
Animated British shows. Well, I know what's going to come up. Like Pengu and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Bluey, Peppa Pig. But I know what you mean, though. Like
an adult cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Well, Thunderbirds apparently was UK, I guess.
but not a comedy.
No, well, you're looking for British animated comedy. It's like that joke from Airplane. Kind of a pamphlet on Jewish sports heroes, whatever kind of thing. It's like a
Yeah.
little pamphlet. Yeah, that's pretty niche, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being for more visual comedy, exactly. That's why I don't see a lot of. It's very visual, so yeah, that wouldn't be British or even Canadian. Though we have put out some pretty raunchy comedies.
Yeah.
What is that? Our next topic: raunchy animated comedies.
I don't know. I don't know what our next topic is going to be.
I don't know.
Anyone in the crowd suggest anything?
Okay, so we can talk about anything, but I just thought about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like tripping the riff was pretty.
Yeah.
It was pretty raunchy. Yeah. I was like, oh.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, we'll come up with something to talk about.
Exactly.
Subject to be determined. Please write them in. Wow. Well, hang on. It's beginning of September. We're slowly closing in on Halloween. We could do a couple of shows on just Halloween stuff.
We've done horror films already, right?
We've done horror, but have we done? Well, it doesn't even have to be shows. We can just talk about Halloween in general.
We'll also comment animated British.
There we go. Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Stop motion. Yeah.
Yep, and very funny.
Yeah. Let's talk about horror stuff. How about horror remakes?
Horror remakes? Are we talking like Evil Dead 2 remaking Evil Dead 1 or the recent Evil Dead?
Or Halloween, Friday 13th, Nightmare, all remade by Rob Zombie.
I see someone else joined us up there on Instagram. Hey Jerry, how we doing? Unfortunately, your comments won't pop up, but I will see them and I can read them if you chime in there, sir.
Wasn't trying to think some really old stuff. House of Haunted Hill, was that remade too? All three versions of the thing?
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. We'll talk about horror in general. Like, well,
we're kind of out of my wheelhouse, remember, because I'm a big coward.
You are a big coward. I'm a coward too. But
yeah, I'm not a fan of horror movies because I've got a creaky house, a crazy neighbor, and an ex-wife. I don't like to jump at every noise in the night.
I think it's something horror-wise though. But yeah, coming up.
Yeah. Well, we do need to kind of theme this up a little bit maybe for Halloween. I know that on Sunday, well, first off, Saturday, I'll do an early one. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And Sunday is Star Trek Day.
Okay.
Yep. We're celebrating the anniversary of the first airing of the first original series episode. Excuse me. Whew. So the fandom has adopted September 8th as Star Trek Day. That happened. We've got a Friday the 13th this month, which is next Friday. We could talk about Friday the 13th. Well, I'm busy that Friday anyway. We wouldn't do a stream.
I'm going home that weekend too. So.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Good.
Let's talk about horror films. Let's talk about let's do a combination of remakes and long franchises like the 10 Saw films, the numerous Friday the 13th films.
Yep, the Halloweens.
Halloween's up to 6, I think.
Yeah.
But we can talk about them basically. Talk about basically why they're so long because they make money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And are some of them basically just
talk about what ones we think will extend, like you're terrified, you're up to 3 and that.
Yep. Let's do that. Let's talk about Halloween franchises, long franchises, and their possible futures. We can do that.
All right. Not just from March 17th. Yes, the Leprechaun.
Leprechaun. I'm the Leprechaun.
Which got remade as well.
Without Warwick Davis.
Yep.
He was game, but they
weren't.
Yep. All right, let's do that. Want to do it the 19th? Otherwise, we do it the 3rd because I'm gone. If we do it the 3rd, it gives you time to do some research and watch some horror films.
Yeah, do the 3rd. Yeah.
Okay. 3rd, we're going to do that.
Pop up with something in between, but
yeah. Do the third, because I want to talk about the Hellraiser series, because that stuff has gone like that.
Yeah.
The 10 Saw films, which I never would have predicted at all.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
Yep.
The Terrifier one. There's 13 Halloween movies. Good point. The Terrifier one, because that's a young franchise. I think has got legs.
Yep.
And I want to talk. I want to bash Rob Zombie because he makes horrible movies. But those ones I think I want to talk about. Those ones for sure, because Saw was made because of money and it was people liked it, right?
Yeah.
And the other stuff was made because it was cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And I'll try to find some really obscure ones too, because I know there's some really obscure, like there's like 2 or 3 ones no one's ever heard of, like the Reanimator got a sequel I didn't know.
Yep.
Which I thought was
there's Bride of the Reanimator and stuff.
Yeah, I know, right? Which is kind of weird. But yeah, I want to talk about these long franchises: Hellraiser, Saw, Friday 13th. Why they're long, where they've gone, why they've gone. Like like who thought this was a good idea?
Yep.
Let's do that. Let's do Halloween. Like, we'll pick a few of our favorites because, like I said, I've consumed a lot of this media.
All right. Yep.
It sounds good, man.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you had an enjoyable time. If you showed up, if you showed up late, this will be available on YouTube there eventually somehow. Track us down. There we go. Thanks for joining us. We hope everyone had a good time. Thanks for chiming in if you could or if you did. We'd love to hear from you guys and your thoughts and your recommendations. We'll be back in a little bit talking about Halloween movies and Halloween franchises and horror franchises. Till then, keep watching the skies, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
There we go. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Bye.